You know that feeling, that little voice in your head that says, there has to be more. Or maybe it's that sense of a life slipping by, one day at a time, and you wonder if you're truly living it. If that sounds like you, you've clicked on the right video. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're going on a journey through a powerful story that's not just about learning English. It's about learning how to live. By the end of this story, you won't just improve your English fluency, you'll also have a renewed sense of purpose and a fresh perspective on how to make every second count. You'll be motivated to take action and change your life for the better. This isn't your average lesson. We're going to use something called shadowing. It's a powerful technique where you listen to a speaker and repeat what they say almost simultaneously. Think of it like a parrot, but a smart one. This helps you master pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm, making you sound like a native speaker faster than you ever thought possible. So get ready to listen, repeat, and transform not just your language skills, but your life. Let's begin. There once was a man named Arthur. Arthur was a clockmaker. Not just any clockmaker, but the finest in the entire city. His hands were magic. He could take tiny gears, intricate springs, and delicate jewels and weave them together into a symphony of time. His clocks weren't just for telling the hour. They were masterpieces, each one a unique work of art. People would come from miles away just to see them, to hear their melodious chimes. But Arthur, he didn't see the beauty. To him, clocks were just clocks. He spent his days in a dusty workshop, bent over a workbench, his magnifying glass a permanent extension of his eye. His life was a monotonous rhythm, tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. He fixed broken grandfather clocks. He polished brass pendulums. He adjusted minute hands. His world was small. His world was predictable. He was a master of time, but he was a slave to it. He lived in a little house behind his workshop, its windows always grimy, its garden overgrown with weeds. He ate the same simple meal every evening: bread, cheese, and a glass of water. He spoke to no one, except to mumble a price to a customer or a curse at a stubborn gear. His life was a slow, steady march toward an unknown end. He felt nothing. He felt everything. A deep, gnawing emptiness. A feeling that something was missing. One evening, as the last rays of sun painted the workshop a faint orange, a young woman entered. She was unlike any customer Arthur had ever seen. She wasn't carrying a broken watch or a tired old clock. She was carrying nothing at all. She wore a simple dress, her hair was a cascade of curls, and her eyes sparkled with a light Arthur hadn't seen in years. A light of pure, unadulterated joy. "Hello," she said, her voice like a melody. "Are you the famous Arthur, the clockmaker?" Arthur grunted, wiping a smudge of oil from his hands. "I am. What do you need?" She smiled, a smile that reached her eyes. "I need nothing. I just wanted to meet you. I've heard so much about your clocks. My grandmother has one you made 50 years ago. It still keeps perfect time." Arthur's heart gave a tiny, almost imperceptible flutter. A warmth he hadn't felt in so long. He just stared at her, not knowing what to say. "My name is Lily," she continued, "and I have a question for you, Arthur." He raised an eyebrow. "A question? About clocks?" "No," she said softly. "About time." Arthur scoffed. "Time is just the ticking of a clock, young lady. Nothing more, nothing less." Lily shook her head. "No. Time is a gift. A precious, finite gift. We don't get to keep it. We can only choose how we spend it." Arthur didn't know how to respond. He was a man of gears and springs, not poetry and philosophy. He just stood there, holding a tiny screwdriver, feeling utterly foolish. "I travel the world, Arthur," Lily said, her voice now a little more serious. I meet people from every walk of life. The happiest people are not the richest. They are the ones who understand the value of their time. They fill their days with laughter, with love, with purpose. They don't let their lives pass them by. She walked over to a grandfather clock in the corner, a magnificent piece with an ornate carved case. She ran her hand over the polished wood. You create these incredible machines, Arthur. They measure every second. But do you ever measure your own seconds? Your own moments? Arthur's throat felt dry. He thought of his dusty workshop, his monotonous routine, the silent meals. He thought of all the years that had melted away, one day blending into the next. I don't know, he finally managed to say. Lily's eyes were kind. It's not too late, Arthur. It's never too late. The clock of your life is still ticking. What will you do with the time that remains? And with that, she simply turned and left, leaving Arthur alone in the quiet workshop, surrounded by the rhythmic chorus of his clocks. The ticking didn't sound the same anymore. It sounded louder. Each tick was a question. Each talk was an echo. That night, Arthur didn't eat his usual simple meal. He couldn't. He sat in his chair, a million thoughts racing through his mind. He thought of his parents, long gone. He thought of his own youth, a faint memory. He thought of all the things he had wanted to do but never did. He had always told himself there would be time. But was there? How much time was left? The next morning, something was different. Arthur didn't reach for his tools. He didn't bend over his workbench. He walked out of his workshop and into his garden. The weeds were everywhere, but for the first time, he saw not a chore, but an opportunity. An opportunity to create. He spent the entire day pulling weeds, clearing the overgrowth, and turning the hard soil. His back ached, his hands were covered in dirt, but for the first time in years, he felt alive. He started small. A few vibrant flowers here. A small vegetable patch there. The garden began to bloom. The once grimy windows were now sparkling clean, letting the sunlight pour into his little house. He cooked new meals, trying different recipes he found in an old cookbook. He even started greeting people on the street, a small hello that felt as big as a mountain. Arthur was still a clockmaker, but he was more than that now. He was a gardener, a cook, a friend. He was a man who had finally started to live. He still heard the ticking of his clocks, but it was no longer a monotonous sound. It was a reminder that every second was a precious gift, a chance to create something beautiful, to share a moment, to feel something real. Years passed. Arthur's hair turned to silver, and his hands, once so nimble with tiny gears, were now a little shaky. His garden was a riot of color, a masterpiece in its own right. One day, as he sat on a bench, admiring a blooming rosebush, a young woman walked past and smiled at him. She had a cascade of curls, and eyes that sparkling. "Hello, Arthur," she said, her voice still a melody. Arthur looked up, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Lily, you've come back. I just wanted to see if you had answered my question," she said. "What will you do with the time that remains?" Arthur gestured to his garden, to his now clean house, to the warmth in his heart. "I'm living it, Lily. Every single second. I'm living it." She nodded, her smile mirroring his. "That's wonderful to hear, Arthur. The best timepiece in the world is not the one that just tells the time. It's the one that reminds us to live it." And with that, she walked away, leaving Arthur with his garden, his memories, and his newfound understanding of what it truly means to be a master of time. So what did we learn from Arthur's story? The most important lesson is this: time is a non-renewable resource. You cannot get it back. It is a gift, and how you use it is your masterpiece. Don't be a slave to your routine. Don't let your life pass you by. Take action. Start small, just like Arthur did. What is one thing you can change today? Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's calling an old friend. Maybe it's stepping outside and taking a deep breath. Maybe it's just smiling at a stranger. Every second matters. Every moment counts. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. It's the main event. Start living it now. The best way to improve your English is to use it. Use it to tell your story. Use it to tell yourself you can do this. Use it to speak your goals into existence. What is your one takeaway from this story? Use it. Live it. Make a change. Now!